Hey everyone, this is Mrs. Cummings. This is a help video for the Spiral Review week number 1. So you got a paper, I believe it was purple in math class, that looks a lot like this. Remember, this is due Friday, December 10th. This is part 2, but on the back, looks like this. You are supposed to record all your work from the Google form that you are completing in Mrs. Severick's Google Classroom for part 1. So this is part 1 where you have to show your work, but this is the actual Spiral Review Google form for part 1. I'm going to read that in just a minute. And then this is your part 2 that you will also have to complete, which I'll read that at the end. So this says grade 7 Spiral Review. Put your block, your last name, and your first name. So remember, make sure you have this form handy so that as we're going over these and you're doing them in the Google form, you are actually writing them down. So what is the exact decimal equivalent of 7/12? To do this, remember, you're going to put it in your calculator, 7 divided by 12. But if you had to show the work for this in your working form, you would put top dog in the house. So 7 divided by 12. Remember, you can do this in your calculator, but you should get an answer that goes up here, and you're supposed to be doing the long division underneath. Those numbers on top will help you do that portion. So go ahead and do that and pick the correct answer. Make sure you draw it in box 1. Question number 2, the ratio of boys to girls in Mr. Johnson's after school club is the same as the ratio of boys to girls in Mrs. Green's after school club. There are 4 boys and 12 girls in Mr. Johnson's club. There are 6 boys in Miss Green's club. How many girls are in Miss Green's club? Well, since they're the same ratio, you can set it up. So this could be Mr. Johnson's class, and this could be Miss Green's class. And remember, I think they did the ratio of boys to girls. That means for Mr. Johnson's class, it says the ratio is 4 boys. That's a G, by the way. 4 boys to 12 girls. And you're making an equivalent ratio. So that means in Miss Green's class, there were 6 boys, but we don't know how many girls. But remember, when we're moving this way, you could figure out 4 times what will give you 6. Well, that's not an easy thing to do, to know off the top of your head 4 times what equals 6. It's not going to give you a whole number because 4 times 1 is 4 and 4 times 2 is 8. So we're probably going to need a decimal or a fraction. Okay, so you could always divide. So going backwards, if we're going like this, we're going 6 divided by 4, and that will give us what we need to multiply by. So 6 divided by 4 in your calculator is what? You'll write that number here, and whatever you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom. So 4 times what number? That's multiplication, by the way. It kind of looked like adding. 12 times what number will give you the bottom number for Miss Green's class? How many girls does she have in her class? Remember, again, I'll say this till I'm blue in the face. Whatever you write needs to go in box number 2 on your purple paper. Question number 3, which situation results in a final value of 0? A, the temperature after a decrease of 5 degrees from a temperature of -5 degrees Fahrenheit. This one, it says from, so just remember you would start with this. So -5 degrees, and then you're decreasing or going down another 5 degrees. So you're starting at -5 and you're going down 5. Would that give you 0? This one says the height of an airplane after taking off from ground level. Well, what's ground level? 0. And rising 1,000 feet. Would that give you 0? The distance above sea level after increasing 24 meters. Well, we know that's positive from a depth of 24 meters below sea level. So you're starting at 24 meters below sea level and you're increasing or going up 24 meters. Would that give you 0? And D is the amount of money received in change after making a $10 purchase with a $20 bill. So if something costs $10 and you're paying with 20, does the amount of change you get back, does that equal 0? Whatever one you pick, you need to set it up as an equation on your paper to show that it equals 0. And remember, again, it's on this page. Question number 4, which expression can go in the blank to make the equation true? Negative 4.5 plus 4.4 plus which one of these things, when you put it in there, and you can do it in your calculator, which one of those would make it so that it equals 0? You should plug all these in and see which ones are correct. And then you can write that once again on your purple paper. Last question for the Google Form Spiral review. At midnight, the temperature was negative 8 degrees. At noon, the temperature was 23 degrees. Which expression represents the increase in temperature? So how much total? So I'm kind of going to draw this for you. If we have like a thermometer here, and let's just say like here's 0. And we're going to say like down here is negative 8, which is where it says it starts at midnight. At noon, it goes all the way up to a positive 23. So we want to know how much it went up. All right, or the difference between these two numbers. All right, so kind of that's what we're thinking. How many numbers are in between negative 8 and 23? We may have to use absolute value because that's what that means. These bars mean absolute value. So remember, you can kind of draw this picture if you want in your diagram, or you can solve out one of these problems on your paper and show how much it equals, which would give us the distance between negative 8 and 23. So that's part 1. Remember, if you finish it before the 10th, you should give it, before you submit it, you should show the actual worksheet. So this worksheet, you should actually show that to Mrs. Severick so she can check your work and you can turn it in. The last part of this spiral is the part 2. So now I'm on the purple paper. Obviously, it's not purple on here, but your paper, it is purple. So this is part 2 after you showed all your work for part 1. It says, find the value of the expression, show all of your work. So if I were you, what I would do is I would do specific parts first, like parentheses always go first. So I would do this bottom one first in your calculator and write the actual number here of what it is. Then I would also do this one right here, just this part, and I would write down what the actual number is. I would then do 5 divided by whatever this number is and write the answer down here. From there, because remember, division goes first. Then I do the other division problem. It's set up as a fraction, but you can also divide. I would also do this number divided by negative 0.2, and I would write that answer right here. That's how you can show your work. Then the last step you have to do is this plus this, and you write down your answer down here. Okay, that would show that you are actually doing your work. You can use your calculator, but you just have to make sure you're writing specific things down so that she knows you're actually doing your best work. And I'm just going to write division symbols by these bars because some of you will try to put in ABC and it's just not going to work for you because you're working with decimals and not whole numbers. So make sure you're using division, 5 divided by whatever you got when you put this in your calculator, okay? Hopefully that's kind of clear that how I explained that. All right, and the last one here says Susan buys the items listed below at a grocery store. She buys 2 packages of chicken priced at $12.36 per package. She buys a half a pound of broccoli priced at $1.98 per pound, and she buys 1 gallon of milk priced at $3.49 per gallon. There's no sales tax on the food she buys. Susan pays for the items and receives 80 cents in change. What amount of money does Susan use to pay for the items? So what you're going to want to do for this is you're going to want to figure out how much money she's spending. So 2 packages of chicken. So this is only 1 package. She gets 2 of them. So you have to figure out how much that equals because they didn't give you the full price. You then have to figure out how much a half a pound of broccoli, which is priced at $1.98 per pound. Well, this isn't a pound. This is not a pound. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to have to, I'll do it like this. I'll do a text box here. You're going to have to do that half a pound, and we're multiplying it by $1.98 because remember, that's what we're doing in order to find the unit rate of that one. So you're going to have to do that to find out how much she actually spent for that one. And the next one is 1 gallon of milk priced at $3.49 per gallon. Well, that one's pretty easy because she only bought 1 gallon and the cost of a gallon is $3.49. So you should write how much each of these things equals, and then you should total them all up. A total means to add all 3 numbers, right? So you're going to get an answer there, but that's not what it's asking you for. It's not asking you for that number. It's saying she pays for the items and receives 80 cents in change. What amount of money does Susan use to pay for the items? Well, we don't know how much, but we know she got this much back. I might take this 80 cents and add it to the number that you got here to see how much she initially paid for all the items. All right. I hope that helps. I think looking at it now, it looks a little chaotic after I read it all to you, but we were doing each step together. So if you followed what I said for each one of those steps, you should have an answer and you'll write it down. But you have to make sure you're not just because I'm reading this to you doesn't mean you're not writing all of this on your paper. You need to actually show the work or you're not going to get any credit. Okay. All right. I hope you did a really good job, and I will see you later.